Now to India, where the Supreme Court is taking 4 states to task over their handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Delhi, Gujarat, Maharashtra and Assam have 2 days to explain their outbreaks and the measures taken to curb the spread. The court has chosen to get involved because it's concerned that the crisis will get worse in winter if states are not well prepared. Gujarat has been singled out. The court says infections there are out of control. India has reported more than 44,000 new cases in the past 24 hours. More than 9 million cases have been confirmed. And Neha Punia joins us live for more on this from New Delhi. Neha, the court clearly is concerned that winter will bring a whole new wave of infections, isn't it?
That's right, Stephen. For a while now, we've been hearing experts talk about how the winter wave of infections in India particularly could be worse than anything we've seen so far. And those fears are already coming to life here in cities like Delhi, where the third wave is proving to be completely brutal, worse than what we saw when the pandemic first started. And the Supreme Court said that's why it felt a need to intervene and put these states in the dock, asking them, what steps have you taken so far? What steps do you plan to take in the weeks ahead? And they must clearly outline, the court says, any areas where they feel there will be help needed from the federal government. The court particularly pulling up Gujarat, where weddings have been allowed, the court says, which makes no sense given that the numbers have been surging. They're also, the court also questioning political events that were allowed to be held in the state as well. In the last few days, we saw Gujarat impose a night curfew in 4 cities and defer the opening of schools and colleges, but the court saying that's not enough. Delhi similarly also feeling the heat from the top court of the country, where the court asked, we've seen what happened with the Diwali festivities. Many large events were held, people coming out in large numbers, not adhering to COVID-19 norms. And we're now seeing those numbers trickling in. And the worry is that with the pollution levels here surging in the days ahead, the numbers will increase as well. So the government saying, what is the Delhi government doing to prepare for such an eventuality? And those answers will have to be given by this week.
Also, what can the Supreme Court do after receiving those status reports from the 4 states?
For Delhi, essentially what this does is it builds pressure, at least as far as public perception is concerned. These governments are duty-bound to respond to the Supreme Court of the country, else they could be held in contempt of court. There's also judicial accountability to their plans. And what the court could do once these plans are furnished is set a timeline for the implementation of many of these promises that the governments are likely to make, where they will outline plans they plan to put in motion in the weeks and months ahead. What's also important is that the Prime Minister of the country will be holding a video conferencing meeting with many state governments tomorrow, and it's quite likely we will see a plan of action formulate in that interaction. And the federal government will also be a part of this hearing on Friday, and it will in a sense, tell the Supreme Court that this is the plan of action we've worked out and this is how we plan to implement it. And the focus really is going to be on organizing enough beds and testing kits, because really the worry is that right now India has capacity. States like Delhi and Gujarat and Maharashtra have capacity. But we saw what happened early on, where increasingly hospitals were running out of beds and people were being turned away. And that's the kind of situation the Supreme Court says we must avoid at all costs.
Thanks very much for those updates. Neha Punia there speaking to us live from New Delhi.